On today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, Connor Bedard, Connor Bedard, Connor Bedard, Connor Bedard, Connor Bedard, Connor Bedard, and the Avalanche win 4-0. We'll talk about all that and more on today's episode of Locked On.
Your Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. That is always appreciated. Make sure to follow us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, X, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, opinions to lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us over on YouTube. Over on YouTube channel, hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live. Definitely subscribe to our subtext as well. Link to that is in the show notes below. Subscribe, become one of our special insiders, and chat with Kyle and I one-on-one. All right, sir, you see our rundown if you're over on YouTube. Yeah, it was Connor Bedard overload for ESPN, and we'll talk about that. It was kind of like when it's tax time and it's that free commercial. What is it? Who does the tax? TurboTax.
Yeah.
And they have those commercials where it's just free. It was that, just Connor Bedard during the game. So we'll get to that, but we'll talk about the game first and foremost. Avalanche stay undefeated, 4-0-0 on the year with a 4-0 win over the Blackhawks. That's kind of poetic. And it was one of those games where those classic, like you just need a few minutes to get your legs and get into the flow of the game. Because in the beginning, it was just a little bit of back and forth, nothing really going. And then as soon as that Logan O'Connor shorthanded goal, second in as many games, it was like that was the ignition that they needed. And it was over after that, and it was only 4-0. But again, this is like the Sharks game where it was like it could have scored 6, 7, 8 goals in this game. It was dominant. It was dominating once they got things going.
Before we hit record and we bring you these episodes, me and Chris will sit here. We'll kind of talk over some stats and just give a quick rundown of the game. The Avalanche dominated every single stat to the point with 41 shots. Mrazek walked out of there with a .902 save percentage because of the saves and the shot percentage and high quality shots. The shots at the beginning of the game were all on net. They weren't wide Burakovsky like in the rafter shots. They were on net. And it was one of those, yes, they were getting their legs, and according to Ray Ferraro, this is how the Avalanche are, a slow starting team and just mediocre. Yeah. But LOC starts with that shorthanded goal, and then Ryjo follows up with another special teams goal, and that's 2 goals in the first period. And then it's just, I think that coupled with being at home back in Ball Arena, it was just the perfect mixture for we're going to have a party all night long.
This was the Avalanche first home game, and this was the Blackhawks' 5th road game to start the season. They haven't played at home yet, and you could tell.
Yeah.
That was a tired, weathered team, and they're a young team, right? For the most part, they are a young team. But the effort was just not there from them. About once the second period started, they were still in the game, obviously, but they just had nothing. They had nothing in the tank, and the Avalanche were just the Avalanche. They just jumped on them, didn't stop. You like seeing that too, being up again in the third, not having that breakdown of like, yeah, this is a team that we're going in 2 opposite directions here. Don't let them get back into it for whatever reason. Nothing. Give them nothing. And they did. They did or they didn't, I should say, for the whole game. It was great. It was great to watch that they were just I want to say like on point with things, but the game plan carried for the entirety of the game. And it wasn't just like, we're doing what we want, so if we need to turn it up later on, we will. You didn't get that. It was just, we're just going to do what we've been doing all game and never give them an opportunity to get into this thing.
And Chris, this is our 4th win, and this is our 4th time to say the Colorado Avalanche played a 60-minute game.
Really did.
There wasn't, the problem that the Avalanche run into of taking their foot off the gas was not present in this game. They were peppering the shots all game long. Even in the final minutes, there was still push. There was still fight. They didn't pack it in. And when we start talking about the stats and the minutes, there was Cale Makar logged some serious minutes. This was a game that, even though it felt like they were in control, they still were playing like they were from behind. They were giving Cale 25 minutes in this game.
Yeah. No, and they even had a goal taken away. Beautiful pass from Jonathan Drouin to Miles Wood, but was overturned because it was a hair offside. So you even had that one. Could have had another goal in there. Who was goalie for them? I'm blanking. It's late.
Peter Mrazek.
He had some nice saves there, which could have even tacked on a few more. But it was just, you felt comfortable that this was not going to get out of hand for the Avalanche in terms of letting this team back in. You really I can't think of anybody that I'm sitting here thinking they played a poor game. It was a little bit interesting to see Drouin. I mean, that pass, if you heard me, I said Drouin to Miles Wood because Bednar brought Drouin down to the third line.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think, because I thought Drouin was playing pretty well. I don't know if that was more of just a matchup thing that Jared Bednar was going for. But it was interesting that, fine, if you're going to drop Drouin down, you probably would have said probably go down to the second line and then swap somebody. But he brought him down to the third line and brought Tomas Tatar up to the first line. So he must have saw something there. I'd like to see the press conference, which is probably going on as we're recording this, as to why he did that. But it seemed, everything the Avalanche were doing worked.
And you also have to keep in mind, the Avalanche were confident at this point, and without looking ahead, who's coming up Saturday. And if you see something with a matchup, you want to toy around a little bit. Take advantage of this time that you're up. They were up to the point and so confident in the lead that Nathan McKinnon has also been keeping track of who's scored a goal in every game so far, and was force feeding Mikko Rantanen the puck at many, many times during the game just to make sure he kept that going, because they were that confident. They didn't need a goal. They were picking and choosing and cherry picking who's getting goals at this point to get them going.
Yeah.
So Jared Bednar doing the same with the lines. If he sees a matchup, or, hey, this guy's got a hot hand, I wonder how this works in a game situation, I feel like it's a little bit of that situation. I don't think it's so much of a detriment of play from Drouin, because he showed up. He looked good. But it's one of those that if you have the ability to do it and see Tatar in that situation, why not?
Yeah. So we'll get to the stats and stuff like that. And obviously we're going to talk about Connor Bedard, because he just...
Who's that?
He didn't even have a shot on goal.
Nope. He's not going to have a shot the entire episode. So
so we'll get to him a little bit later, but we're going to continue talking about our boys, especially one Alexander Georgiev, because he's on fire to start the season. So we'll talk about him next. But first, we are going to discuss FanDuel. And FanDuel, you love it. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. And I mentioned the other day when we were talking about FanDuel, that they have that special section of just Connor Bedard. This game did not help him in those season-long stats. I don't know.
Well, thankfully, they have that protection if you win or lose on Connor Bedard bets.
So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. App is super easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options like spreads, player props, over-unders, the Bedard lines, all that stuff and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season, which is already underway. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. Alexander Georgiev, I mean, what else can you say about the guy right now? He records his first shutout of the season. Last year, wasn't he tied with most shutouts on the year? I believe he was, if I'm not mistaken. I think he had 5.
Yes.
Either way, like he's out of his mind right now. I mean, everything right now for the Avalanche is clicking, but you haven't had to lean on him well, I shouldn't say that. Like with the Sharks game, you did. The Sharks game, you really did, because they couldn't get anything past Blackwood. So they did need him to keep that game right where it was. And that's what, we all know what happened towards the end, but he has been just pitcher perfect in the early going for the Avalanche this year. Just everything. He just looks so comfortable there. And again, I'm not a goalie. I never played goalie, but when a guy is dialed in and when a guy is feeling it. He's absolutely feeling it right now.
And I think with talking about the Avalanche success and how good this team looks and how confident, I think we have missed on saying where it all starts, and it is the play of Alexander Georgiev. When you have a goalie that dialed in, that locked in, you could be a little bit free. You could take chances. You can do a little bit extra just to see what works in those situations, because he's going to back you up. And it's not luck. He's in the right place at the right time.
Oh, he's great.
Pads look great. His positioning looks incredible. He's cool, calm, collected, composed. And it's only going to help that this was a nationally broadcast game, that everybody else is tuning in on this game. And I wonder what the Avalanche are doing. Or everybody following the Bedard train. Let's just check in on him tonight. And you see this, the goalie play that the Avalanche have. And it's just something else you have to talk about with this Avalanche team. Like, this team, top to bottom, is absolutely incredible.
Yeah. You don't see him like flailing around to make saves and stuff like that. It's because he's just in position. And a lot of that is, you got to give credit to the Avs defense too, for them being in position. It's just everything is just, I'm surprised this early in the season, everything is clicking as well as it is for the Avalanche. They're notoriously slow starters. We talked about it heading into the season, but they haven't had this start, and I think they started 5-0-0 in the 17-18 season or something like around there. So they just don't get off to good starts like this, but you got to be impressed with how they're playing. Like you said, just from top to bottom, everything looks pretty good. Sure, you have these little things here and there that you need to fine tune, and that's going to happen over the course of the season. But when you have the play, like your offense is scoring, your penalty kill is perfect.
Yes,
literally perfect. Your goalie play is fantastic. Fine. Now you can take those couple things that you need to work on those, and then it's just I'm really, really impressed with how the Avalanche are starting, especially with how Georgiev has started off the season. And I don't think he gets enough credit for it, because when you have the names that you have scoring the goals for the Avalanche and playing the way that they play, he kind of always gets buried, and it's not really fair to him.
And it's one of those things you kind of take for granted. Like, you're the Colorado Avalanche. Of course, you should have good goalie play, and it's going to be easier in front of you. But I mean, you saw it in the San Jose game, you saw it in the LA game, you saw it in the Kraken game. When you're playing the Avalanche, you up your game. Notice I didn't say the Chicago game, because they did not register shots at all. Nobody wanted to shoot the puck. But it's one of those that everybody elevates their game. And for Georgiev to come into this game tied for second with save percentage with Linus Ullmark, that speaks volumes with the amount of shot volume that he takes and how they walk out of there unscathed night in and night out. It's an incredible asset that the Avalanche have. And I'm telling you, Alexander Georgiev is the heartbeat of this current Colorado Avalanche team, and they are going to carry this throughout the season.
What would you say? Do you think he plays next game, or you think they give him a rest? I know it's only 4 games, and it's not like he's on a stretch of a dozen games in a row here. But do you think they just give him a little bit of a break right now, or he's so hot, you just keep going with it.
That's the thing. It's a hot hand. You want to keep riding it for a little bit but then you're backing yourself into a corner. You're playing a potential Cup final opponent in the Carolina Hurricanes, and then
he's playing. He's playing.
And then
I forgot the matchup. Yeah.
Then what are you going to do? Are you going to sit him for Tuesday's game where you're possibly up for the record on 15 road wins against New York? Like then where's your break?
Well, because then with that, so you have Friday off, and then you're playing, and then you have 2 days off, and then you're playing again. So that helps. I don't know. I mean, maybe I don't think they really. I shouldn't say that they don't care about that record.
It's an NHL record. It's not like it's a team record.
Right,
if it was a team, I think it would be a different conversation. NHL records, they're hard to come by.
Right. And I mean, they've tied it. So, that's impressive as it is. But I don't know. We'll have to see. It's an interesting thing. And I know this is early on in the season, but I don't know. He's definitely going to play against Carolina because you want to see, that's a solid team. So you want to see how he goes up against them, and then you address it. You got a couple days off. We'll see.
And then what if you pull him and he comes back and he's wobbly? Then you're going to be regretting that for the rest of the season.
No, I don't think. I mean, he's fine.
If you ride the hot hand,
right? That's what you typically do. And when you're in the playoffs, you always play the top guy. Yeah. So it's not like you're overloading him right now. It's just, you want to give him, spot him here and there. But if he's playing like this, you let that go. Peter Baugh from The Athletic did just tweet out, Jared Bednar really liked how Tatar looked on the top line and how Jonathan Drouin looked with the third line. He wished Drouin and the third line got rewarded for the overturned goal. Because how they were playing. So, but no, maybe something else will come out as we're recording this as to why he did it. But, or maybe I missed it if he said it on when he was interviewed by Emily Kaplan. I didn't hear anything then, but yeah, we'll have to wait.
Honestly, I think Jonathan Drouin, I think his value to the Colorado Avalanche this year, I think he's going to be the salt shaker. Wherever you put him, he's going to be enriching whatever line he's on, but by himself, it's just salt. But I think he's going to enrich everybody around him.
Yeah. Well, let me bring up some stats here. You had the Ryan Johansson goal, got his first goal, which was good to see. It would have been good if Miles Wood kept his goal too. You had some of the new guys scoring goals, and Miles Wood already has one, I think, this year, but would have been good to have two of the new guys get goals. The funny thing is, like you were saying, like we were just looking before the game. I actually wrote down in my notes for when I'm watching the game. This is a division game, and there's not a lot of like extracurriculars going on. I have like nothing going on after the whistle stops, is what I wrote down. You're not seeing that, like when a goalie covers it, there's always that pushing and shoving. You saw none of that. And again, these are division teams. You usually get a little bit more of that in division games. None of it. And then we were looking up stats before we went live. We went to like 3 or 4 different pages thinking that it was just like a misprint or something, but it's not. In that, let me get it here.
I can tell you on one hand.
The hits for the game, 2 for Chicago, 3 for the Avalanche. I mean, you're normally in double-digit hits just from skating around for 60 minutes. So this was not a physical game. But what's the one hit that you're thinking of right now is the one where the 2 Avs put Bedard down.
Oh, I want it as a background on my phone.
Yeah. But you were like, they must have count that as 2 because 2 players took him down. I don't know. Just not a physical game. And I just wonder why. Like, I don't. Are the Blackhawks just not that physical this year, or was this just like we're just throwing in the towel here, guys? Like, let's just go through the motions. We just want to go home. We haven't been home for 2 weeks, so please just let's have a nice little a matchup here. You guys are going to get the 2 points, and let's just go home with no bones broken.
And it's Jack Johnson's former team. Where's the animosity?
Well, yeah, I mean, his team for what, 3 months?
Yeah, and you brought up the division game. I didn't think about the whole game long. Why weren't we in the third jerseys?
I didn't even think about that till you just said it. Wow. Are they not doing that this year?
I don't know. I haven't even seen it announced
Oh,
if
wow.
there's a schedule.
Yes. That's always a thing. Oh my God. Wow. Now my mind's racing. Are they not doing third jersey at all this year?
Unless there's a
I
new
mean,
one
didn't
on
they
the way.
say? Yeah. Okay. All right. We're gonna have to figure that out. I didn't even wasn't even thinking about it. But the one thing that I will, when you get a song stuck in your head first thing in the morning, in my head in the morning is just going to be the name Connor Bedard, because it's all you heard of if you watched this game. We will talk about that. And is it just too much? We'll talk about that next. We are going to talk about the Jase case and Jase Medical. And there's always that time. I know it's happened to me, Kyle. It's probably happened to you where something happens in life and you need medications with you, or you need to get a hold of a pharmacy or get to a pharmacy. And because life gets in the way, you just can't get there. Have you been in that situation? I'm sure you have.
Yes, and the older I get, the more I'm encountering this kind of thing. So these Jase cases, they are pivotal to my daily life.
Because as you get older, the mind starts to go and you forget these things. But this Jase Medical offers a Jase case, and this is great. It is a nice, neat little package. You can bring it with you. It doesn't take up too much space. So if you're on the go and you need these, you get 5 essential antibiotics in the Jase case. You can bring them along with you if you're going on vacation or something like that, and just have peace of mind that they are there if needed. And those 5 essential antibiotics, they treat the most common and deadly bacterial infections. And you can also customize your case and add additional life-saving medications based on your unique needs. Jase Medical now offers customizability. Is that how you say it? For the Jase
Beautiful.
case, with dozens of add-on medications. Choose medications that best fit you and your family's unique needs. And if you know someone that might need a Jase case, you can buy gift cards. Go get a gift card. The Christmas season is right around the corner. Jase case might be a stocking stuffer, Kyle.
You know what? Make all your friends thankful on Thanksgiving with Jase case gift cards.
Go to jasemedical.com, enter the code locked on at checkout for $20 off your order. That promo code is locked on at Jase Medical. That's JASE medical.com. Go check them out. I think people are finally coming around, and I'm clapping as I'm saying this to drive home the point. ESPN is too much. when the NHL signed with ESPN, everybody loved it, and I was over in the corner being like, "You people aren't going to like it." Yes, you will get notoriety. Yes, they have so much pull, and they cast a wide net. All of that is good, but the what they deliver in the product is sometimes cringeworthy, and it was last night. We typically don't do this, but this is a special case. This is how they covered this game. I get what Connor Bedard is and what Connor Bedard can be, and I'm there for it. I'm rooting for him. I'm a fan. I want to see him do well. I look forward to next year and 2 years when it really starts to click for him and he becomes that like dynamic player. And I say that knowing full well he's in the same division as the Avalanche. I think he's going to be great for the game.
Yeah.
But what I don't think is good for the game is when people want to just tune in and watch a hockey game and you are shoving one player down their throat non-stop. You have to stop this, ESPN. If he's not like, I feel like they had a quota on you need to say his name every 30 seconds. I genuinely think that. I think they had a production meeting and say, we need to throw his name out there, put his name on a graphic. You have his they have his name above him when he's skating, when it's 5-on-5, not even they do that thing on the power play, wherever who has the puck,
Mhm.
they put. I even think that's annoying. But to do it just on a random player, he's not random, but you know what I mean. When it's 5-on-5 and he's not even involved in the play and he's just on the other side of the ice and you're putting the arrow on him in the graphic, why? Like I was having a conversation like on Twitter, like they think their viewers are stupid because they can't locate him on the ice, so they're going to locate him for you. Dude, like it was too much,
You
too
know
much. ESPN.
you know what it was? I'm gonna take you all back to 2008. You remember you had that friend that you told Chuck Norris jokes to?
Yeah,
And then he told your Chuck Norris joke back,
yeah,
and then it was funny, and then you saw that friend again in a week, and the first thing they say is a Chuck Norris joke. You're like,
yeah,
"Ah, that was funny. We're kinda over it now. We're
yeah.
back to life." Guess what? ESPN is not over the Chuck Norris joke, and they think that's their thing. They got to give you the newest Chuck Norris joke, and that's Connor Bedard. He did this, he did this, and then they're doubling down on it by saying, "Is the media coverage too much for Connor
You are
Bedard?
the media. That's
You are the source.
that was
You are
the
too much."
thing.
And they're like,
Yeah.
no, it's about right."
No,
No, it's not.
yeah, you think they're gonna say it's going overboard because then they're incriminating themselves by saying that it's going overboard. It's just and when the guy's not doing anything, like he didn't do anything in the game last night, and that's okay. I'm not here to we're not saying like, oh, bust or anything like that. He's young. He's gonna take time to figure it out, and you're forcing something that's not there, at least for this game. If you want to start the game and say, yeah, kind of how did Steve Levy start the game?
Okay.
It's the Connor Bedard show, dude. Like you just alienated an entire fan base that's
I
tuning
kicked
in to watch.
I kicked pillows and blankets off the couch. I was like, "Nope, nope, nope, not all game long." And guess what? It was all game long.
It
And
was
Connor Bedard didn't have a shot all game, but like Ovi just went 2 games without a shot and not a ripple, not a word. And you heard a little bit of it in this, but then never again. Like, "Oh, he hasn't registered a shot, but we're sure he's going to come right back around." And like,
well,
we get it. He's great. He's a phenom, but don't let it overcast an entire game with incredible hockey between 2 really storied franchises. Like, if it's one guy, the narrative, like, I don't even have like this much Connor McDavid stuff, and he's earned it.
right. Great point. Great point. Yeah. Like talk about that. Talk about the superstars that exist here and now.
Yeah.
You had 2 of them, 3 of them out there on the other side of the ice, and you barely heard a sniff about what Cale Makar has done as as a defenseman. But Bedard fits exactly into what ESPN has become, and that's the individual player.
Yeah.
They don't care about the team success. They just care about the individual success. And that's how they promoted it. They promoted Connor Bedard, the player, and they talked about the Colorado Avalanche, the team. And I'm just fine with that because that's what matters most is the team, right? And we have spectacular individual players and we talk them up all the time. That's fine. But at the end of the day, it's the team that matters. ESPN could care less about that. It's who's the individual. Let's plaster their face as much as we can. End of story. And hey, oh yeah, by the way, the Avalanche won 4-0. And that's what they do. Like I haven't watched SportsCenter in years, but when I was a kid, like that was like appointment view. You had to watch SportsCenter over and over again, and they would show you the full highlights of the game. You felt like you watched just a shortened version of the game. They would if a basketball game went down to the wire, they'd show you the last shot that went in or out to win or lose the game. They don't do that anymore. They show you LeBron James and all his dunks, and then they in the corner of the screen they show you the score. That's what they've become, and it was fully on display last night in that game. It was kind of embarrassing and kind of cringeworthy to see like that's what ESPN has become. I mean, they've been this way for a few years, and I don't watch ESPN a ton. The only time I watch it is when a game is on. But when you see it, it's like, man, I guess there's a subset of people who want to see that. It's not me. And I'm willing to bet there's a lot of people that are tuning in to watch a hockey game, and you got the Connor Bedard show.
And who would have thought in this day and age, in the year of our Lord 2023, that Taylor Hall is the new Scottie Pippen?
Yeah. Is it? You know what? Like, did they probably said that at some point during the? I was
That's
trying
the
to
only
tune
time
him
you
out
hear
most of the
Taylor
time.
Hall is a pass from Hall to Bedard.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, it was something to watch. I'll tell you that. So, and it's gonna just continue. We can't sit here and be like, well, maybe they'll get better at it. No, nope. This is what you're gonna get all year long, and you're gonna get it on TNT too. Maybe to a little bit lesser extent, but TNT is enamored with him too. Let's not
Yeah,
kid ourselves.
I think they have more of a pulse of what's going on in the hockey world, and they're
Yeah,
like, you know what, it's overblown. We'll mention it and walk away.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and if the team was if this was later in the season and his team's fighting for a playoff spot, that's a story. Here's this new kid that came out of nowhere. The team was supposed to not do anything. He's got him on the verge of a playoff spot. But we're at the beginning of the season, and I get there's excitement about it. I'm not trying to say you can't talk about the guy at all. You can, you have to. But at the level they were doing it was just rename the network.
Thank God he's not dating Taylor Swift.
Oh my God. ESPN would blow up. They would implode if that ever happened. Last bit of business to get to, that is our sound check. And Kyle and I pick one song each and throw it up on a set list over on Spotify. And these are the songs that we feel best summarize the most recent game. So what do you got for this one, sir? Avalanche and Blackhawks.
It's just fit the mood today. And as soon as the song comes on, it encapsulates the vibe of being back in Ball Arena. Welcome home, Coheed and Cambria.
Yes. I mean, that is fitting.
That
is fitting.
That riff, just to start it, that's the atmosphere of before puck drop at Ball Arena. And then here we go.
I don't feel like that song gets played enough in like, because that song can get you pumped up.
Yes, it can.
It doesn't get played enough in arenas and stuff like that, right?
It's probably because Coheed and Cambria, you got to play the whole album.
It is yeah. There is a full album vibe to their albums. Yeah, I agree with you. I can shred that song on Guitar Hero. I'll tell you that. Or Rock Band. I think is it Rock Band? I think it's Rock Band.
Yeah, I think Welcome Home was Rock Band.
I think it was Rock Band. Yeah. For me, I'm going with if you everydayers know, I'm Chris Cornell is my man. And Audio Slave is one of my top 2 bands of all time. So I gotta get an Audio Slave song in here early in the season. And why not focus on the Georgiev shutout? They have a song off their second album, Out of Exile. The name of the song is Number 10, because this is his first shutout of the season. It's his number 10 on the year. So great song. A lot of slow in the beginning, and then Tom Morello just kicks it into high gear in the end. Great song.
God bless Tom Morello.
God bless Tom Morello. God bless Chris Cornell. No longer with us. Wish he was. Good Lord. Right. That's going to wrap it up for today, everybody, and for the week. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in and making this your first listen of the day, every day, all week long. Greatly appreciated. We will be back on Monday to discuss, big game over the weekend against Carolina. So we'll talk about that. And then, like we said, we are going to Long Island. If anybody on the East Coast is going to the Islanders Avs game on Tuesday, let us know. Hit us up. We'll be there. So, all right, everyone. Thanks again for tuning in. For Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan, I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast, and we'll see you guys on Monday.